Picture this, a tiny, microscopic powerhouse, diligently producing energy, maintaining balance, and regulating essential functions in our body. It's not science fiction, but the reality of the mighty mitochondria, the cellular powerhouses that play an unexpected yet significant role in our mental health. These minuscule organelles are not just energy producers, they are the unsung heroes behind the scenes, ensuring our brains function optimally. They churn out adenosine triphosphate, the primary energy currency of our cells, powering neurotransmitter synthesis, maintaining ion gradients, and supporting overall neuronal activity. However, when these powerhouses falter, the consequences can be dire. Impaired mitochondrial function can lead to reduced energy production, affecting the normal functioning of neurons and neural circuits. This disruption can translate into various mental health issues, showcasing the importance of these tiny structures in our cognitive and emotional processes. Mitochondria also hold the dubious honor of being major producers of reactive oxygen species. While these compounds are a natural byproduct of energy production, their excess can lead to oxidative stress, damaging essential cellular components. This oxidative stress has been linked to mental health disorders, including depression and neurodegenerative diseases. Thus, maintaining a delicate balance of these compounds is crucial for our mental health.
You know, we don't get a lot of memes in biology, but we lean really hard into the ones we have. For instance, it doesn't matter where I am in the world, all I have to do is say the word mitochondria, and pretty much everyone will drop what they're doing and shout in unison, "are the powerhouse of the cell." That's just what we were taught over and over again in introductory biology. We know that mitochondria are the site of cellular respiration, and that all the energy that we need is converted there. Which is insane to me, because mitochondria do so much more than turn food into energy. Mitochondria do everything from making the building blocks of your DNA, to alleviating cell stress, to literally cleaning up all of the messes inside of you. There is so much going on in these little prokaryotic nuggets that I had to make a quick video to correct the record. Today, let's take a deep dive into how mitochondria are way more than a powerhouse. So yeah, just in case some of you need a quick refresher, mitochondria are one of the many structures called organelles that make your cells up. They're in basically every cell you've got except red blood cells. And you know what, when in doubt, just always say except red blood cells when making a blanket statement about cell biology, and you'll probably be right. I mean, they're basically just bags of hemoglobin. The real magic here is in the wrinkly membrane on the inside. This intermitochondrial membrane, we'll call that the IMM from now on by the way, is where most of the cool stuff happens. And it's what gives mitochondria their superpowers. The folds and wrinkles give the IMM a huge surface area. More surface area means there's more room for cool chemistry to happen. And if you're thinking back to my episodes on photosynthesis and making connections to chloroplasts, then congrats! They are similar. When in doubt, all the coolest things in life happen when you have membranes within membranes. Mitochondria use proteins and complexes embedded in the IMM to accomplish a lot of what they do. There are thousands of people who have devoted their entire lives to exploring this little barrier, and there's still so much more we need to learn about it. But that's good enough for intros for me. What are our mitochondria doing with all this real estate? Well, let's start with the part that blew my mind the hardest. Mitochondria are the center for manufacturing so many of your most important building blocks. When I think of mitochondria, I think of breaking stuff. I think about sugar getting cracked open to make ATP in cellular respiration, called catabolism. However, mitochondria are also essential for assembling so many of your most important parts. One of the biggest things you'll learn about biology is that our cells read our DNA to know how to assemble proteins that have amino acid building blocks. But like, what builds those building blocks? You guessed it, it's your mitochondria. The nucleotides that make up your DNA, the essential structures for them are made up inside the IMM. A compound called tetrahydrofolate gets pulled into the IMM by this carrier protein here, and it's used to make a bunch of different factors that turn into nucleotides once they're released back into the cytoplasm. And you know what's insane? I have been making videos on this YouTube channel for 5 months now. I have called this channel a show about biochemistry, but this right here, this little scene is the closest I have come to actually animating a biochemical pathway. Names, y'all. What are you gonna do about it? At the same time, the proteins that make you, alive are built out of amino acids. A bunch of those amino acids are manufactured right here in the IMM. An important compound called glutamate is brought into the IMM by a membrane protein, and then it is transformed into proline, alanine, glutamine, not the same, and a bunch of precursors of other amino acids. My personal favorite is right here at the very end of heme synthesis, that is synthesizing the heme group that makes up hemoglobin, which transports oxygen all throughout your body. At the very end of that process, the heme group gets its iron atom attached to it and then sent out to become part of hemoglobin and then part of your red blood cells. What's cool here too is that the very beginning of heme synthesis actually also happens inside your mitochondria, but I did not have the time budget for that, and frankly, heme synthesis is a crazy, awesome topic that needs a whole video dedicated to it, so you just get the last step here. But no, 2 parts of heme synthesis actually happen inside the mitochondria. You're just seeing the last one right here. And that's only like an extremely small slice of the stuff your mitochondria build. What's even more bonkers is what your mitochondria do to clean up your cells. No, seriously, mitochondria are the center for waste disposal in your cells and therefore in your entire body. A lot of the chemical reactions in your body produce less than ideal byproducts. This is why we do waste disposal. At a macro level, you already know the 2 methods we have for getting rid of waste products in your body. But your mitochondria help start the process by breaking down and disposing of waste at this chemical level. Not all the waste in your body, but definitely some of the more important ones. Like, first of all, ammonia. Ammonia is made by breaking down amino acids and nitrogenous bases, so it's produced during normal metabolism, especially protein metabolism. It should be noted that most of the ammonia in your body is produced by the bacteria in your gut, your microbiome, but we'll get into that later, probably not even in this video. Ammonia is a pretty wicked toxin, so it needs to be converted into something more stable before leaving your body. The first step of that conversion happens with enzymes inside the IMM, turning it into a compound called citrulline, which is eventually turned into something called urea. And you'll never guess how that exits your body. Next up is hydrogen sulfide, another cool toxin produced by your microbiome. There are a bunch of proteins embedded on the IMM that help break it down. You're only seeing half of the process here, though, because eventually hydrogen sulfide is broken completely down into something way more manageable. Again, we only have the time budget for a quick review here. Even cooler, hydrogen sulfide is H2S. When it's broken down, it's going to release 2 hydrogen nuclei, that is 2 protons, and those are used to help juice the concentration gradient on the outside of the IMM that helps power ATP synthase at the end stage of cellular respiration. So waste disposal is pretty good. That's not even grazing all of the waste disposal that happens. But of course, of all of the things that happen, for me the coolest is the last one: mitochondria are the powerhouse of your cell. Yeah, lame, I know, but you probably only know mitochondria as the site of glucose metabolism, the vanilla version of cellular respiration. This kind of respiration uses glucose, oxygen, and water to make energy. Here's the thing, though. Glucose is a sugar. You don't just eat sugars. Your body is also really great at making energy out of fats and proteins, too. So, how do those things all get turned into energy? They get converted, you guessed it, inside the IMM in that intermitochondrial space. The fats you eat get broken down into fatty acids, for the most part, outside your mitochondria, but once they make it inside, these energy-rich chains are processed and robbed of their electrons until they turn into acetyl coenzyme A. Acetyl CoA is kind of a big deal in biochem, so I'm not going to go into more detail right now. It needs its own video. I know it doesn't look like much, but this little nub can accomplish quite a lot. Just know that once these fats get turned into acetyl CoA, they can help power the Krebs cycle, or the TCA cycle, or the citric acid cycle, or whatever it is you call it. Meanwhile, when you eat protein, it gets broken down into its constituent amino acids. The amino acids glutamine, leucine, isoleucine, and valine all get processed inside the IMM. Glutamine is the most common amino acid, and it gets broken down immediately into glutamate and ammonia, which, hey, your mitochondria are already ready to clean up. Glutamate can be repurposed as all sorts of molecules, and it's actually a neurotransmitter as well. But odds are, once it's inside the mitochondria, it's going to get converted into another intermediate in the citric acid/Krebs cycle called alpha-ketoglutarate. Meanwhile, leucine and isoleucine are usually processed and turned into, you guessed it, acetyl coenzyme A. All of these processes take electrons and use them to power the electron transport chain and ATP synthase, which is what makes ATP the energy molecule that helps keep you alive on a cellular level. And again, we've only scratched the surface here. And if you're paying attention, you're beginning to see why all these things need to happen inside the mitochondria. One of the most important things in life is that it is an energy management problem in the end. We need energy to be alive, and harvesting that energy from our environment can be a messy process. That's why it's so incredible how we've evolved alongside these brilliant structures inside every single one of our cells. We barely scratched the surface here too. We didn't talk about how mitochondria clean your cells from free radicals and other unstable toxins, or how mitochondrial DNA is a special brilliant source of insight passed down from mothers to their children. There's so much wrapped up in these little organelles that it's almost an insult to reduce them to a place that makes energy. And I hope this wasn't too broad or too quick an introduction, and that you can see how mitochondria are way more than a powerhouse. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Cells are the smallest living units of an organism. All cells have three things in common, no matter what type of cell they are. All cells have a cell membrane, which separates the inside of the cell from its environment, cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like fluid, and DNA, which is the cell's genetic material. There are two broad categories of cells. The first category is eukaryotic cells. They have organelles, which include the nucleus and other special parts. Eukaryotic cells are more advanced, complex cells, such as those found in plants and animals. The second category is prokaryotic cells. They don't have a nucleus or membrane-enclosed organelles. They do have genetic material, but it's not contained within a nucleus. Prokaryotic cells are always one-celled or unicellular organisms, such as bacteria. So, what are organelles? Organelle means little organ. Organelles are the specialized parts of a cell that have unique jobs to perform. Let's start with the nucleus, the control center of the cell. The nucleus contains DNA, or genetic material. DNA dictates what the cell is going to do and how it's going to do it. Chromatin is the tangled, spread-out form of DNA found inside the nuclear membrane. When a cell is ready to divide, DNA condenses into structures known as chromosomes. The nucleus also contains a nucleolus, which is a structure where ribosomes are made. After ribosomes leave the nucleus, they will have the important job of synthesizing or making proteins. Outside the nucleus, the ribosomes and the rest of the organelles float around in cytoplasm, which is the jelly-like substance. Ribosomes may wander freely within the cytoplasm or attach to the endoplasmic reticulum, sometimes abbreviated as ER. There are two types of ER. Rough ER has ribosomes attached to it, and smooth ER doesn't have ribosomes attached to it. The endoplasmic reticulum is a membrane-enclosed passageway for transporting materials, such as the proteins synthesized by ribosomes. Proteins and other materials emerge from the endoplasmic reticulum in small vesicles, where the Golgi apparatus, sometimes called the Golgi body, receives them. As proteins move through the Golgi body, they're customized into forms that the cell can use. The Golgi body does this by folding the proteins into usable shapes, or adding other materials onto them, such as lipids or carbohydrates. Vacuoles are sac-like structures that store different materials. Here, in this plant cell, the central vacuole stores water. Going back to the animal cell, you will see an organelle called a lysosome. Lysosomes are the garbage collectors that take in damaged or worn-out cell parts. They are filled with enzymes that break down this cellular debris. The mitochondrion is an organelle that is the powerhouse for both animal and plant cells. During a process called cellular respiration, the mitochondria make ATP molecules that provide the energy for all of the cell's activities. Cells that need more energy have more mitochondria. Meanwhile, the cell maintains its shape through a cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton includes the thread-like microfilaments, which are made of protein, and microtubules, which are thin, hollow tubes. Some organisms, such as plants, that are photoautotrophic, meaning they capture sunlight for energy, have cells with an organelle called a chloroplast. The chloroplast is where photosynthesis happens. It's green because it has a green pigment called chlorophyll. Plant cells also have a cell wall outside of their cell membranes that shape, support, and protect the plant cell. Animal cells never have a cell wall. There are many other unique structures that only some cells have. Here are just a few. In humans, for example, the respiratory tract is lined with cells that have cilia. These are microscopic hair-like projections that can move in waves. This feature helps trap inhaled particles in the air and expels them when you cough. Another unique feature in some cells is flagella. Some bacteria have flagella. A flagellum is like a little tail that can help a cell move or propel itself. The only human cell that has a flagellum is a sperm cell. In summary, remember, eukaryotic cells are plant and animal cells with a nucleus and membrane-enclosed organelles, while prokaryotic cells are unicellular organisms without these things. All cells have a cell membrane, cytoplasm, and genetic material. And even though only plant cells have chloroplasts, both plant and animal cells have mitochondria.
So first of all, before I begin describing this, good to talk with all of you again and be with you on the phone call. Just want everybody to know, perhaps I entered late, so I'm not sure if Roger mentioned it, but the new Restore is being bottled as we speak, and we'll be ready to go out the door after Christmas. So we are close to a week away, just maybe a day or so around, it could be the Monday right after Christmas, it could be the Saturday after Christmas, but right around there we're going to begin shipping out the new Restore. So we're very, very excited that we've gotten to the end of this development and the first production run. And we've set up so those production runs can continue as long as we can get it out to the people who need it. So anyway, Roger, the ingredients that were in the previous version of Restore, taro still bean, we had the lemon and orange oils, we had frankincense, of course the black seed oil and the olive leaf and the olive oil and the astaxanthin. And those are all geared toward doing specific tasks, even though they overlap in a broad approach to general mitochondrial wellness. People received some pain reduction, turning down of inflammation. People received emotional support, like you said, from those oils. But this time around, we were looking at feedback from people. We were looking at what we could do extra with this particular version of Restore. And one thing that came to mind upon many conversations was that there are a lot of fans of the Mind and Perform that we had made up until recently. And what would be nice is to not only maximize the benefits that we already had in Restore, turn those effects up, but also to add to them even more mitochondrial energy support for one thing. So to that extent, what we've done is we've added the majority of ingredients from Perform to this oil. So what are those ingredients and what do they do? Well, to make a long story short, those ingredients were designed to work together. Those are CoQ10. You have, that's in the form of ubiquinone. For those of you who know that, cellular mitochondrial support. We've got turmeric, which is, a lot of you have heard of curcumin. Turmeric is the root, the spice from which curcumin comes. There are water-soluble, alcohol-soluble, and oil-soluble portions of turmeric. And we've designed this to have the oil-soluble parts of the turmeric as well as some of the compounds similar to and including curcumin in it. Of course, astaxanthin, CoQ10, as I mentioned. We also have acetyl L-carnitine, arlopoic acid, and piperine, which were in the original Perform. Now, what are these there for? These ingredients all work synergistically together to boost mitochondrial health, to increase antioxidant support against free radicals in the cell, and in general, not only will raise your energy levels, but also will help all cell function to do what it needs to do, no matter what organ system it's in. So this should be a big, big energy boost, even over what you've experienced with the last Restore. So we are very excited about that. Next, I added ingredients that are considered adaptogenic. So an adaptogen is a substance that helps your body maintain homeostasis. That is to say, under conditions of stress, one way or another, your body will maintain its own health within the specs that it's designed to operate in, so that the conditions in your body don't drop too low, go too high. For example, cortisol, just to name one, is a hormone in your body produced by your adrenal glands, a fight and flight kind of response that can cause you to become overly stressed emotionally and physically and wear you down. So that needs to be able to be controlled so that you don't go into that fight or flight mode too easily. That's just one example. But in addition to that, these particular adaptogens that I've chosen are also incredibly good for endurance with regard to working out, or even if you don't work out, endurance with respect to an entire day, getting through it with an even energy level. These are some of the, for those of you who do work out, these are some of the same ingredients that Soviet and Chinese athletes used when they broke distance records at a couple of Olympics, and they were sort of the secret behind those performances. All of this, of course, is legal and entirely natural, but that's added to this so that your body really can have those same nutrients as the top-level athletes that were competing against other top-level athletes. Additionally, what we wanted to do is turn up the emotional aspect to this, that is to say, the calmness, and we've done that. We've added a couple of ingredients from Mind, a couple of ingredients that were actually in Mind, because some of you said, man, I wish we had Mind back and available for us. Well, we don't yet, but we've taken some of those key ingredients from Mind. Which particular ingredients? Well, we've taken ones that will help memory, that's Bacopa, that will help you recall certain things that you may have thought you forgot. One of those ingredients is Bacopa. And other ingredients that are designed to give you a calm focus. There's an ingredient from green tea called L-theanine, and that helps you when you drink tea. It's sort of the difference between getting jittery from coffee and drinking a black or green tea. L-theanine, along with the caffeine, modulates that response. It helps you to have a calmness along with it without the jitters. L-theanine is a brain food as well. It will help you with those feelings of calmness and help your neurotransmitters. So that's in there as well. So we've turned that up. We have other ingredients that are designed to work with your blood sugar support as before, so that's turned up. Blood pressure support, that's turned up. Ultimately, and a big one that we've added to this, and some of these ingredients I've already named to go with this effect, but we have heard from people that pain relief was very quick and it was very effective, but some of you have said that you would like help with more substantial pain relief, maybe some systemic inflammatory effects or nerve pain to that extent. And we have designed this particular Restore to work with the endocannabinoid system, not using CBD, but with other ingredients. And these ingredients, one of them is magnolia extract. Magnolia extract is a very, very powerful anti-inflammatory, but what it additionally does is it works with your brain and it works with your central nervous system to turn down your perception of pain. So it doesn't just block the signal, but it actually turns down the inflammation and then deals with the pain signal as well that's getting to your brain. And another ingredient is a long one, palmitoethanolamide, or amide, depending on how you say it. But PEA is a very powerful ingredient that works with your endocannabinoid system in your body. In some ways, is more powerful than CBD. And what that does is it takes the pain signals, the pain at your extremities. Perhaps you have a neuropathy or in your extremities, or you have another nerve problem, or you have systemic pain from an old injury. It will take that pain and turn it right down. So working together with magnolia extract, what you have is a 1-2 punch to deal with the pain signals in your brain and deal with the pain in your extremities, the nerve pain or the chronic pain that you might be experiencing. And PEA is a tremendously powerful anti-inflammatory as well. So the other thing about the dual purpose of magnolia extract and PEA together are that they both increase your mood. They turn down anxiety and they turn up the good mood, and not in an artificial way. It does it using your body's own chemistry in a very natural way. If it's out of balance, it will correct that balance. So very, very excited about those effects. We believe that this version of Restore, the pain relief effect from it will be faster than it even was before, and way more powerful. And I believe that, to give you an example, some of you may have experienced back issues, back problems before. And I always like to tell Roger that when I know that some anti-inflammatory is working or pain relief is happening, if my back is really tight, it just has that tight feeling, I can't really turn it and stretch it very effectively, it won't crack, and nothing will happen. I know that something's working when my entire back just feels loose. It all loosens up, and I can stretch, I can do all that again. I anticipate that this version of Restore for you will have that same effect, and very rapidly. So to summarize, really what we've done is we've taken the 5 or 6 active ingredients that we had before. We have enhanced all of those effects, emotional effects, the pain relieving effects, the anti-inflammatory effects, the blood sugar support effects, the blood pressure support effects, and we've gone beyond that. The increased mood, pain relief, the ability of your body to maintain homeostasis, to deal with stress, the energy aspect to it will be turned way up. We've gone from, again, I don't know if Roger said this or not, but this new formula, even though the heart of it is the same, we have gone from about 5 or 6 active ingredients to 30. Now, that is not typical in most formulas. They don't stay the same or the same name. But I can tell you that the heart of this formula is exactly the same. The addition of these particular ingredients in specific amounts is the difference in going from amazing to spectacular, and not to hype it in a way that's inappropriate. But what I'm learning with these ingredients is as they work together and how we can incorporate them into an oil-based product is amazing, because we are able to use less, far less of any one single ingredient, but tune it far more specifically than almost any other technology that I've seen, perhaps different from any technology that I've ever seen, and Roger can attest to that. So I have the ability with this particular technology to tune each particular ingredient to work with the other ingredients in far smaller amounts than are normal in order to get very, very large effects that your body recognizes very, very quickly, and that's the XDS 2.0 technology. So we're very, very excited about the new Restore, very excited to get it out the door and begin shipping, and we're in that process right now, bottling and labeling and finalizing those to get ready to go out to you. So I'm very excited about this Christmas time to be able to wish you a Merry Christmas and get this out the door as perhaps a little bit of a late present, but we do think a lot about all of you with health needs. We do pray for you, and we work hard to get these products out to you, to be able to bless you with that. So I'll give it back to you, Roger.
Thank you, Bevan. I want to just say something about the cannabinoid activators, those two ingredients that you had in there. One of the things we had to think about was the legality of putting CBD in our products. We decided not to put any of that in Restore, but he came up with what we think is a far better solution, and we can't wait for you to try that. We also have in development the next generation of Restore, the next generation of Rejuvenate, two versions of that that'll be coming through that will use some of these same ingredients and others, but that will be the topical. So our real power pair, if you will, are Restore and Rejuvenate.